What's up, everybody? Welcome to Value Town. This is episode 167. Man, it's kind of crazy. I'm ChanManV, and of course, Gaara's here, joining me as always. What's up, buddy?
I'm super excited. I love Hearthstone, and it's so much fun. And I'm super excited to be on the show.
Yeah, awesome. And then we've got the oxymoron himself, BoarControl, on the show. Coming straight off of playoffs this last weekend, and it's first time on the show. So welcome, man.
It is, yeah. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to it. Yeah,
it's going to be a lot of fun, and everybody that's joining the chat now, I hope you guys are ready to talk about some, obviously, HCT playoffs, given that BoarControl was just there and just happened this past weekend. We've got the final results, the brackets that we talked about. Ixar posted it. And then we've got a bunch of interesting news that involve balance changes and possible cards. So I actually know what the possible cards could be that they end up nerfing or changing. So definitely want to give our insight on that. And then, of course, meta, just what's going on this week. Lots of early climbs. Watching, BoarControl, I think, get into Legend on all three servers has definitely been a learning experiences this past week. And then some Q&A at the end, of course. But to start off, just want to mention that this episode is sponsored by Dollar Shave Club. So if you are in need of a razor, definitely go check out dollarshaveclub.com, and we'll talk a little bit more about it later. And of course, HS Replay, our Value Town is an HS Replay show now. So go to hsreplay.net and check out the most amazing stats you'll see in Hearthstone. I'm not biased at all. But let's talk about this week. Let's just jump on just what we've been doing this week in Hearthstone. And yeah, BoarControl. I was just mentioning your climb to Legend. It's just so easy for you, man. I'm just watching you play Tempo Mage, and it's just it's 2 or 3 hours. You go from rank 5 to Legend, and I'm just like, oh man, that's the easy life. So how's it been, man? Been just as easy as it looks?
Yeah, it's been every month in the competitive season now. I just have to grind on all 3 servers, get Legend, and then the goal is to get high Legend. So I try and just play a deck that maybe I'm not 100% on, and just played some more Tempo Mage games, because of course you have to prep for tournaments all the time as well. So I've got DreamHack Tours coming up. Yeah. So I wanted to practice some Marlot Pal and practice some Tempo Mage, maybe try a couple of different cards, secret package in the Marlot Pal and see how these go on the climb. But generally the climb is always nice and quick compared to grinding in Legend afterwards.
Yeah. Gaara, how's your climb been early season?
Yeah, I'm almost Legend on the 3rd server now.
Cool.
First, I didn't even plan on getting Legend on 1st server, but I did Legend in 2 days on both other servers. Just
nice.
I'm not even playing so much, and then I'm I might as well play Europe. I was playing fun decks, and now I'm rank 2, so I'm 5 stars, so I'm almost legendary. It's just
playing fun decks. Wow.
Yeah.
Nice, man.
So might as well get Legend on all 3 servers, which should happen tomorrow. I'm just playtesting a lot. Also, I'm going to DreamHack Tour, so I'm playtesting a lot, and at the same time I'm getting Legend, so it feels good, man, I guess.
Cool. Yeah, I've probably played a little bit more the last couple of days than I normally do, and particularly been playing Paladin, which I've put off for a long time just because I play against so much Paladin. I was just I don't even want to play it, but figured I would try it. Then definitely got up to rank 2 and then switched over to Warlock, just control Warlock, and man, been struggling with the mirrors and figuring out that, so kind of stuck at rank 2 right now. But playing Paladin is easy life, man. It's just it's so easy to climb once you figure out how the mirrors work and just the little things. It's crazy good. But Mage, when I was watching you play, right, BoarControl, and I was okay, right. I'll switch over to Mage, because we played a lot of Mage, or at least I played a lot of Mage, maybe about a week and a half when Firebat was on, and I was switching over, and I was okay, shoot, man, he's winning 10 games in a row and stuff. So I better do this, right? Dude, couldn't get above 50% on it when I was doing it, so I must be doing something wrong, or running a little cold there.
Yeah, what helped me out a lot of that deck was APX Void made his guide for Mage, and he told you about all the mulligans and keeping certain cards with certain cards. Once you have the mana worm, suddenly cards like Primordial Glyph, which you wouldn't normally keep, become good keep cards, because then you buff the worm. And he made a lot of good points about general matchup techs and stuff, and just make sure you play in the best 30 card list as well. There's some lists which play Vex Crow. I don't really think that list is as good, sort of thing. So if you're playing the good 30 cards and you're following APX's rules, you can't really go very wrong from there.
Yeah, he always writes these great guides, and the most recent one, he came out APX Void, by the way, if you didn't hear that. He's a mage expert. He's like he's a super mage specialist, and yeah, his latest one apparently is like super good. Clearly, it's definitely a great vouch, at least from BoarControl here. So check that out when you get a chance. Any other decks you guys climb with easily? I mean, besides even Paladin, Tempo, Mage, anything?
I did like I don't know, I do like fun challenges for myself. For example, in Asia I only played Mage, Big Spell Mage.
Oh,
so till Legend, like I didn't switch, and then I went to an A, and then I decided to only play Priest just to compare win rates. For me it's interesting to see. So I had like 5% lower win rate with Mind Plus Priest as with Big Spell Mage. And then then I go like you and I only play Warlock just to see, just to compare win rates.
That's cool though. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's good to kind of isolate a strategy per server, be able to do that. Because I find myself wishing I had that kind of setup, because whenever I want to switch over to something I'm not that familiar with, I'm going to obviously be affecting my rank on whatever server I'm like my main account or whatever. So I kind of wish I was doing that sometimes. But Big Spell Mage has got its pockets, right? Like there's definitely some good matchups right now for Big Spell Mage. But
I think it really changed a lot. I don't know who made the most recent build, but to include a lot of healing. I think Big Spell Mage was really bad last month, and there was like a new list. I forgot where I saw it for the first time, but they played like the Applebaum and the Jewel Scarabs. Just a lot of healing, so you can contest Tempo Mage. And after I played that, it really pushed the deck. And I also liked Zetalot's build of Mind Plus Priest, because he added the Squashlings. This also really boosts the power level of the deck by a lot.
Which one's the
so much more fun.
Squashlings? I forget. Which one is?
The 2-mana Echo card from Priest that heals.
Oh, the 1/3. Oh no, for the 2/1, right? Because that creates a 2/1 every time. Right. Yeah.
It's also a lot of fun, and there's so many synergies you can do. Like you can do cool plays with like Cleric, Squashling, and on a damaged Twilight Drake. Then you suddenly draw 3 cards and you have a full board. So it's kind of like the new circle combo. It's very cool, and it's a lot of fun to play. And I like these cards where you can think and be greedier. Then you wait till turn 10 and then play 5 Squashlings, or you play them early just for tempo. You get 2 Squashlings. It's very cool.
Yeah.
But besides like super new decks, I think there was the most hype around after Xixo reached rank 1 with Even Paladin. I mean, everyone was playing Even Paladin, but if not, everyone was playing Even Paladin by then.
Everybody was already playing Even Paladin. I mean, like, what's new? There are like 5, 10, 20 different versions of Even Paladin, so it's all the same, man. And eventually, I didn't. One thing that I was wanting to try was it Jambre's Warrior?
Even Warrior?
Yeah. I didn't get a chance to play it yet, though, man. But I was like, oh, man, this looks...
It didn't look so bad.
I mean, clearly it's not bad. I mean, if he climbed to where he did.
Yeah, he's 60% to Legend, he says.
Yeah. That's pretty
must be good.
Yeah, that's pretty damn good. It looks like it's good against aggro, for sure. But I wonder how it matches up against Q Block and Control Lock.
It sounds like when you say Even Warrior, he picked the worst 2 possible combinations to stick together.
I know.
The deck actually is alright. I was
Hunter.
Even Hunter.
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 Is that even worse?
That's a challenge.
Nah, 4's pretty good.
Because all good Hunter cards are odd.
Yeah, the 3s are gone, which is like huge for Hunter. But 4's pretty good.
Also pretty bad.
Yeah, 5 too, right? 5's the killer card. All right, but we'll talk, I guess, maybe a little bit more in depth in a second here with the meta. One thing I did want to follow up after last week was really check out what the community ended up voting for in terms of, voting for in terms of the brackets that we discussed last week. So, we made our own predictions, and then Ixar posted the actual results. And, dude, Falcone, I think, ended up being correct to this prediction with Dr. Boom being the community's best card ever. So, BoarControl, you weren't here with us last week. So, thoughts on Dr. Boom being the best card ever?
Of course, I've been following the bracket like everyone else on Twitter this whole time, and I was there voting away for Sunky Batam every time. But no, Dr. Boom was just knocking everything out of the way. I'm surprised, but also kind of not surprised. It's always been sort of the first meme card. Everyone was like, Dr. Boom on 7 always wins. It was in every deck at the time. Everyone joked about it being Doctor 7. Like there was the whole curve with Secret Paladin where you curved out Doctor 6, Doctor 5, Doctor 7, Doctor 8. And that was the main sort of card which caused that. So I can see it there. People think it's best. I would say it's definitely not the best card ever. Talon's definitely a better card than it. But I can see why people picked it. It was a very powerful card at the time. And everyone talked about it loads. And there were lots of sort of memes made about it as well.
Yeah. Look at that bracket Dr. Boom was in. It had Sludge Belcher, Savannah Highmane, Flamewaker, Rag, Duskbreaker, and Jade Idol. That might have been the toughest like bracket right there in all of them. That's crazy. There's no gimme there at all. But yeah, so Dr. Boom, Gaara, I mean, I know we talked a little bit about Dr. Boom last week, but yeah. You surprised?
I agree to disagree, like BoarControl. I'm not surprised, but it's definitely overvalued. But people also forget, maybe they don't think about it, is Dr. Boom was played at a time pre-nerf BGH, so we had 3 mana BGH at that time, so it was not as oppressive because we had a counterplay to it. I think a lot of the other cards, which I would consider the best cards in Hearthstone, we have like no counterplay, like Ultimate Infestation, like Gul'dan, like Operative. It's very like the counterplay to those cards is like almost non-existent. So this is why I would disagree with this being one of the best card ever. But it's obviously a very, very powerful card and was one of the best cards, if not the best card at that time when it was played.
I think Dr. Boom might have been the highest play rate ever, you know, for because it was neutral, right? It was not a class card.
Almost
it was like I think Shredder and Dr. Boom. It'd be interesting to see what Blizzard, could show that, just which cards had the highest play rate in all decks during their era, and I think Dr. Boom was in there. Like it's got to be up there.
Play?
Yeah.
Do we have stats if more people played than Hearthstone?
Wait, what?
Are there like? Is there data if more people played than constructed Hearthstone than right now?
Oh, I'm sure there is. Yeah, of course there is. Like I don't know. I think Dr. Boom was in the stage where we were still growing. So at this point, I don't know how much Hearthstone's growing as much as just trying to maintain a certain level, because we're always having people leaving the game and coming in, right? So I think Hearthstone's probably reached that equilibrium phase, where you're just kind of like losing people as much as you're gaining. But Dr. Boom definitely was at a time when we were still on the way up. So. Yeah. I would say it's probably less, to answer your question. We had less people playing at that time, maybe constructed than
but
right
then
now.
It's crazy if this was still like the most played card ever, if you think about it. If more people are playing now in comparison.
Yeah.
So notice Patches was high as well.
Yeah. Well, Patches, the thing about Dr. Boom is like people were playing it in aggro. People were playing in control. I mean, there was like no reason not. It was kind of crazy that aggro decks were actually playing it too.
Hunter. Every deck played it.
Yeah, literally every deck was playing it.
Except Mage. It was the only deck I remember, like Freeze Mage.
Freeze Mage? Okay, yeah. Freeze Mage.
It was like the only deck that didn't include, because it was so... You can't.
Yeah. I mean, Bone Mirror had a little bit of that feel, right? Before the nerf.
But you couldn't play it in every deck.
Yeah,
because it requires you to have a board. Dr. Boom, you can just jam in your deck.
Creeper before the nerf. I mean, it has to be a non-class card, right? Like, for it to be able to qualify for that. So
Sylvanas was in most decks as well.
Yeah,
but
probably not aggro decks, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, like Zoo played Sylvanas, I remember.
Yeah, I don't even remember that. Really? That's.
I remember that. Yeah.
Okay.
Morganis as well. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Any other surprises here? I mean, a lot of these are like, to be honest, what I would have guessed the community would pick. I thought this was just disgusting, but
it's actually.
I mean, this like Reno over Winnoworm was disgusting, but.
I mean, the final vote is the most interesting, I would say, because there's no recency bias, right? Because if you go ladder now, you face so many paladins, you face so many even paladins, that people still vote for Dr. Boom is actually kind of crazy to think about.
Well, I mean, the paladin cards, I mean, Call to Arms, I mean, had a good showing, obviously, and Tarim, I mean, you've got Tarim in the finals, so I think paladin was well represented here. What are the other classes? Yeah,
how far did Ice Block go?
Yeah, in general, lots of cards.
The infestation UI, which
expensive cards were overrated. And Mad Scientist losing to Ice Block is a travesty, I have to say.
Yeah, I had Ice Block winning.
Ridiculous,
dude, so yeah, that one was a tough one. I think back to back, Mad Scientist, Ice Block, and then whatever versus UI. I think those two were pretty tough. UI versus Mad Scientist. Who wins? BoarControl.
Mad Scientist.
Wow. Oh, okay. It was crazy during its time, man. The Hunter.
It was so good.
Oh my god, in the Mage.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Crazy. Yeah.
I will never forget when it was released. It was, I think, the first wing or the second wing of Naxxramas. And it was like, I won a tournament right afterwards because Hunter was super good before it. And then Hunter got Web Spinner and Mad Scientist. No, and Hunter Creeper as well.
And Undertaker.
At the same time. I think Undertaker came later.
Oh, was that the one after the week after?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There was unbelievable power. There was the biggest power creep for a deck ever.
You know what Extra should do next is like ignoring nerfs. You know, like just disregard nerfs. What's the most powerful card? Like Undertaker and Warsong Commander, Old Buzzard, and like oh my god! I wonder what would end up being there. Like a lot of people obviously
wins, right?
Which one?
Patches.
Patch is the pirate.
Yeah, Patches too. Yeah, it'd be kind of interesting. A lot of people wouldn't even know. Like a lot of people didn't play Hearthstone back in the day, but that would be pretty interesting to see too. Outside of that, I think it's pretty much what I expected. This is a pretty tough one too. I think a lot of people had Gul'dan really high. Thorazan, I think Thorazan was overrated. It's good. It's super good.
It's broken.
It's good. It is, but I think it did a little bit better than. I still think like Muster for Battle and Gul'dan are better than that.
Imagine now to have a Thorazan with the current cards, how broken that will be.
I mean, they kind of do. I mean, Kel'Seth is kind of like that. It's just they just do it in a different way, right? You're getting more value for the same mana cost instead of getting a discount on mana cost. So,
but the crazy things you can do with Rin and Gul'dan and Skulls, and I don't even want to think about it.
Yeah, if it existed today, sure. Yeah,
it did. That would be so broken.
But compare that to like the mana cheat we have right now. Emperor Thorazan's not like as swingy as Lackey and some of the stuff that we see right now. So at the time it did feel like crazy good. So
yeah, the problem was the OTK that you can make through that card.
Yeah, that's true.
All sorts of different classes. Like you couldn't play around it anymore. Like the Leroy Faceless, Power Whelming, or the double Icelands for 0 mana.
No question is broken. It's just like all these cards are broken that we're talking about. So it's okay. Well, anyways, it's definitely a fun exercise, and congratulations, Dr. Boom. Like you didn't win enough games already. You gotta win this bracket too. So
he created a doctor meme.
A doctor meme, yeah.
Yeah.
I had this. One of the few Value Town shirts that we ever made was a Dr. Boom shirt, like to commemorate him leaving Standard. But so I think we might need another piece of commemorative Dr. Boom stuff from somewhere, not necessarily us at Value Town, but somewhere. That'd be pretty funny. Okay, well, let's see. What else? Let's see. What's next here? Oh, we got Balance. Okay, so the update, not Balance, sorry. An update came out yesterday. And this was the update that involved the Shudderwock change that they had mentioned a few weeks ago. And some funny things that, kind of, I think resulted from what we saw here. So here's the announcement of it. So biggest thing is the Shudderwock, basically animation sped up. They limited the battle cries to 20, and they doubled the speed of the Life Drinker battle cry, the one that actually damages and steals health. And then they did some tweaks to Arena, nothing very specific, because I guess it's kind of hard to be specific about tweaking the appearances, appearance rate of cards. But let's talk about the Shudderwock one. So there's all these people trying to get like Dust back and like, oh my God, Shudderwock is so much worse now. But thoughts on this?
Yeah, there was one Shudderwock Shaman up for a playoff, so it kind of affects but there's barely everyone ladder at all. Like, as you said in your article, only 1% of Shudderwocks ever went above 20 battle cries. So it's really not affecting too much. Maybe the life drink of battle cry animation getting doubled affects play more, because actually she's playing other decks like Mage as well now. And that'll just, maybe people won't rope as much now, but like a tiny difference, I guess.
Gaara, what do you think?
I mean, I have to agree. I was shocked to see the outrage of people. I want my dust refund. I want I want my dust back. I crafted this card and now it's unplayable. It's like nobody ever used 30 battle cries. It's so ridiculous. And for the OTK, you don't need it. You need 4. And you don't need like these additional 50 million battle cries. It's about replaying Shadow Shocks for 1 mana.
Yeah.
I really don't understand. It's actually so funny. It's really funny, actually.
Yeah, like the query I ran on, and it wasn't actually an article. It was actually just a Twitter post that I posted. That what I saw from at least querying our data is that I think it was capped at 30 battle cries, because we didn't actually get any games where it went over 30 battle cries, which, given our community, there would be somebody who would pull off, a 32, 30, whatever, 5, or whatever it is. And the fact that we didn't see it, I think that there was already a cap at 30. So they basically lowered the cap to 20 here. Yeah, 1% of the games didn't even, only 1% went over 20, just whatever was 21, 22, 23, whatever it was. So not much of an effect there. I think it's just more quality of, it's just quality of these Shudderwock games. So things will just move faster. Not going to change anything. The results are still going to be the same, guys. Like, you're not going to all of a sudden like lose more because there's only 20 battle cries or anything. So yeah, not much of a change there, and thus like no refunds for Dust.
We should really tell people, like, non-jokingly, this doesn't affect the Shadow Shock OTK at all. You can still play Shadow Shock if you want to play Shadow Shock.
Yeah.
Don't go ask Blizzard, yell at Blizzard.
Let me find that tweet. I'll find my tweet. I actually even have the it's a bell curve as to like where the winning percentage. It's like, I think the sweet spot's like 8 battle cries, if I can find it. Yeah, I basically posted a picture of the graph. So I think the sweet spot's like 8 or 9. So yeah, if you're getting 8 or 9, you're good. Even you're definitely good.
Even for the infinite Shadow Shock lists, you're good to go with 20 battle cries. For the infinite value generation.
But it's not infinite, Gaara. Like, what are you talking about? It's not, yeah, so it looks like the sweet spot's 9. So 9 has the highest win percentage here. Yeah. So, or at least not the highest win percentage. Sorry, 9 is where it happens the most. So this is probably where people are winning the most, given that it's happening the most there. So I think it can probably.
Yeah, it's just sort of on curve as well. I've played battle cry each turn beforehand.
What is the sorcery? I want my dust back.
Jeez, dude. Yeah. It's funny. But, the arena thing, might as well mention the arena tweak. There's definitely been a lot of criticism, coming from Crip and some of the other arena folks, mostly Crip, like recently, really talking about just appearance rates, because now that they've switched the arena to show higher power, or at least similar power level cards. I think it's been long enough now that people are finally, making more of a clear assessment as to whether this is better or not, or arena is actually better now, or it wasn't, or better than it used to be. And I think, some people like Crip are saying that basically it's not. And, some people are saying that it's starting to look a little bit more like standard, just because of a lot of the good cards happen to be those same good cards in standard, so they're kind of showing up a bit more. And then there's a little bit to there's definitely some cards that really just aren't good, and they're obviously showing up with some of the best cards in Hearthstone. And I guess some people are just not sure as to why that's happening or not. So I don't know. BoarControl, Gaara, you guys play arena at all or no?
I play a bit, but I was just intrigued mainly by the message that Blizzard put out, where they said it's really vague, updated the appearance rate of cards to improve class balance. Like, it doesn't really tell you what they're really doing. They're just saying we're trying to make things better, which you'd think they'll be doing that anyway all the time, right? Surely they want to improve the class balance all the time when they can change the rates behind the scenes. It's weird they have to announce it, and they don't just say we're constantly trying to improve the arena and make everything more balanced. If we see something's got too high a win rate, we'll reduce its drop rate, sort of thing, and make things better for those purposes. They just seem like a weird message that they were sending.
Yeah, I think they've just been so inconsistent about transparency with Arena. You know, like there'll be moments where they tell us a lot during these maybe developer insights and things like that. But then we'll have times where they just change something and not tell us, you know, and then somebody sees it, or somebody sees it in a patch, you know, and logs and things like that, and it just ends up being a lot of angry people, right? So I think just being transparent. I think being transparent is just good. So if they can just be more transparent, I think that'd be great, and the community would appreciate that. I'm having a feeling that the reason that they're not is just because it might affect just how people. It might affect the meta of the arena. You know, if they were to be more open about what some of the, you know, like appearance rates are and things like that, it might actually affect how just the outcome of how people are picking when they don't really want to influence that much, right? So I don't know. It's kind of a tough line to walk, but generally though, like I think they do need to be a little bit more transparent with what they're doing. And even just like your explanation, BoarControl, like they could have added like a few more sentences here, and then just like, you know, I think a lot of people would be more clear as to what's going on and still not tell us that much, right? But at least it would feel a lot better. And these two sentences definitely don't tell us anything. I mean, what are they going to do? Make Paladin worse, or make, you know, Rogue worse? I mean, like, I don't even know what, you know, that means, right?
Yeah. I just hope they make it just more balanced in general. I always see there's always large Reddit threads for I seem to see every like month, every week, someone complaining about Arena. I just hope they do get more transparent, as it seems to be. At least this wouldn't normally be in the patch notes, I think. At least it's there now, saying something, right?
Yeah, that's true. So they're getting there, baby steps, right? On a different note, I feel like, you know, with Standard, you know, we definitely got a bit more information the last few days too, over the weekend. Ixar was definitely posting. Oh, there was a thread that came up about Naga Sea Witch, right? Like that, and a lot of people were like, it was like a complaint, a thread for lack of a better word. Like basically, when is Naga Sea Witch finally gonna get changed in Wild, because it's just going crazy. And in that thread, Ixar, you know, revealed that they're taking a look at a lot of cards, and that a balance change is coming after HCT playoffs or just all this HCT season's over, which is the end of May, by the way. And so he went into, you can kind of read it over. I definitely have the links in the notes you guys can always check out in the VODs. Yeah. But actually, let me just link this in the chat so people can just look at the same Reddit thread. But he kind of goes into detail. Somebody summed it up pretty well. And it comes down just like with a lot of cards that they're looking at. In terms of Wild, I think the question of Naga Sea Witch obviously came up. Sounds like they're going to do something about Naga Sea Witch. Barnes came up. Looks like they're not going to do anything about Barnes. So I think a lot of people that play Wild weren't happy about that. And then in terms of Standard, there's a lot of things they're looking at in terms of Paladin and Warlock. And I figured it'd be good for us to discuss those, given that, you know, we're obviously more on the Standard side of things here on Valuetown. And the cards in question, at least I have down here, are Call to Arms, Lackey, Tarim, Dark Pact, Doomguard, Baku's Hero Power, and did I leave anything else? Anything else I forget, guys? Oh, just Rogue, right? I think that he spoke to Rogue a little bit.
Yeah, Quest Rogue.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like they're going to do much to Quest, or they're still wanting to wait and see after they do change things how Rogue ends up there. So why don't we start with that? Like, what do you think about Rogue? Like them not changing Rogue, because there's all these moving parts, right? And right now they seem to, you know, they seem to create these counters for each other, and at times it falls into like a rock paper scissors, and then kind of comes out of it and kind of goes back into it. Rogue's obviously one of those big components there. So what do you think about that? Just not changing.
Yeah, I think Quest Rogue, very similar to Naga Sea Witch, is a problem card, not because it has a too high a win rate or anything like that. It's not even that good a deck. It wasn't that popular at prelims and ladder. It's not really even that popular at high ranks. It's just that the deck is so uninteractive to play against. If you're playing a certain deck, the matchup is so polarizing, you feel powerless. It's not very fun to play against. And at the end of the day, the majority of players want to be having fun playing Hearthstone. And if you're not having fun in like 10%, 5% of your games because you're against Quest Rogue, it kind of ruins the experience a bit. And I can see where they're coming from in that aspect. The deck to play against just isn't great either. It feels a bit like almost you just hope your opponent doesn't draw the bounce effects still. Doesn't have the advantage. You just put as much pressure as you can on, and it's sort of just hope for the best, which isn't really a great feeling. You'd like to be having decisions which are more impactful regarding Queststroke. So I wouldn't say it should be nerfed because it's too good or anything, but mainly just because it's not fun and it's just not enjoyable to play against. Already, I guess it's fun to play with, I would say, because you have a lot of decisions, but not against.
Yeah. And it's skillful to play with too. I mean, there's definitely a skill cap to it when you're playing it. Gaara, what's your thoughts, man?
I have many thoughts. I feel like I'm repeating myself over the years many times. First of all, Queststroke is a horrible archetype for the competitive aspect of the game, just because of the polarization of the matchups and how it forces the tournament meta into just playing certain decks or play around certain decks. For example, like Queststroke just always hard countered every single version of control decks or slower decks. So you basically always have to either bring Queststroke or take into account Queststroke. And right now we have that with Queststroke and Even Paladin. Even Paladin is very similar to Queststroke right now. Like you have to play it or you have to counter it, or it's very similar. It's just that Queststroke has way more polarized matchups than Even Paladin, so I would say Even Paladin is more fun than Queststroke. Even though like it is not a very well-performing deck on ladder. Even back then when it was nerfed, it was like 37% win rate deck on ladder. It's still really bad that it exists in the game. This is why I also think like Rin is a very bad card for competitive Hearthstone. Like if they nerf these cards, all of them, then cards like Rin just become way more dominant because there's no counterplay to them. It's really bad to have cards that just, okay, he happened to draw Rin and Dark Pact, I guess he just won the game. Because there's no counterplay to it. I'm telling you, no slower deck can counterplay. The only counterplay we have to this right now is Azalina, and that is really questionable as a counterplay card.
I mean, I think the Rin discussion is a totally different discussion, but because I think you could build a greedy deck. I mean, you can go even greedier and play against a Rin deck, like if you wanted to. Like you
and
could.
Then what?
I'm just saying, like it can adjust. Like if Rin decks became just like the most.
No, you can't adjust.
You can.
There's no counterplay to the Rin effect.
Oh yeah, I mean, but I'm just saying, like even if a Rin just does, you get the benefits of Rin the entire time, right? You get all the symbols and everything. I think you can build a greedier deck. You know, it puts just Sarah in it. It puts like just everything that's like as greedy as possible in it, and you could adjust from that standpoint. Of course, it's hard to adjust right now when you have all these other aggro things you have to dealing with. But I'm just saying, if that became like just out of control crazy, then that's something that people could start considering doing, and we're seeing that, right? Like in the events, we see people going even more greedy with Benedictus and stuff like that, right? Just to give them even
another bad card, I would say, for competitive first.
Another bad card.
No, because there's no counterplay to it. You really have to think from the counterplay perspective. When we play a Warlock Mirror, we both play Control Lock, and you get your Rin out behind a Void Lord, you just win the game. You can't pressure with a Warlock like a Control Lock. You're not a Cube Lock, let's say. You're playing a slower Control deck, a Control Warrior, whatever. You can't pressure, then you just lose because he happened to draw this one card. And another bad thing, what I think is, I see they are asking the public about feedback. I'm not so sure if that is so smart. They have like this official forum post where everyone can post their opinions. And I went quickly over it. Everyone is like, nerf Cube Lock, nerf Cube Lock, nerf Cube Lock. I don't even think that's like the most problematic deck in the game right now. And I don't know, because that will be the majority of people, right? Going to these forums and being like...
Well, yeah, we'll definitely talk about Cube Lock in a second, because there's obviously like 2 cards on this list that are, or 3 cards on this list that are Cube Lock centric. So
I really hope they would like ask, let's say, 50 pro players, people that go to playoffs all the time. They have experience with high ladder. Like, ask the top legend players, but a lot of... So you have a general consensus of what feels too strong and whatnot, that not just a few people.
I think you get feedback from different... I think that you should have different buckets of players, right? And, you have the professional players. They're going to give you their insight as to obviously what high legend type of perspective is, high skill, right? Just high skill cap, and even just what event type of meta is going to be like and how this is affecting that. And then I think it is important to have like just even people who are in rank 15, rank 10 give you your opinion too, because you know, it's like BoarControl said, like I'm sure those people hate Quest Rogue like as much as, I mean, they probably hate Quest Rogue more than the people at the top do. Like, yeah, it's like playing against it. So, you know, like they see less, they probably see even less ways to counterplay that, right? Than there really even is at the best case. So, yeah, in terms of Quest Rogue, I agree with you too. Like BoarControl, I think it's a very one-sided thing, and this is like one of those cases where the stats probably don't tell you the whole story, you know. And
for sure,
you know that this is the stats probably look fine. You know, like you said, the ladder is not too strong, and you know how you beat it. You go with an aggro deck, right? You just beat it, and that's why it doesn't do very well.
On top of that, another great example is the last World Championship, where Warlock was by far the most oppressive deck. But in the actual tournament, 80% of the people banned Warlock.
Yeah.
So like there was no nerf afterwards. Blizzard was like, yeah, Warlock will be fine, like because you have so small sample size, because everyone banned Warlock in the tournament.
Yeah, and that's where the event meta becomes different, right? And can be skewed a little bit just because you can just ban something that's completely broken like that. So yeah, no, anyways, with Quest Rogue, I think we haven't even talked about how to change it. Like if they were to change something, like what would you change? Like forget just taking it out, because they aren't going to remove it, right? So like what's the most elegant way to make it? I don't know. It's either going to be good or bad, right? Like there's not really something in between.
Like if you're not going to change the quest completion, which is 5/5s, then it's always going to be the issue of once the quest is done, it's nuts, and before it's done, it's rubbish. And you always have that problem. Like you can just make it one more bounce effect, the deck's just going to be a lot worse, but still going to beat control decks. Probably can't be played on ladder anymore, but some people will still bring it in tournament lineups as a target for control decks. Like unless you're going to completely rip up the card and make a new one, there's nothing you can really do apart from just keep on increasing the number of bounce effects you need, the number of times you need to play the card, or just changing. Maybe if you change Sonya and make Sonya cost more mana, that really affects the deck a lot, because a lot of the time you complete the quest on Sonya. So maybe change Sonya, same effect, but like a 5 mana body. That would make the quest much harder to be completed as well.
But we're still talking about making the deck worse, right? We're like, if it's worse against control, I mean, it's not going to change how it is against aggro. It still sucks against aggro. So overall, you're just making the deck worse and just not top tier. Okay, I mean, I think that's probably what the three of us went from that. And I mean, I don't want to destroy it. You know, I still think it could be kind of have a little bit of like meme-ish feel to it and still be fun. It's just when it's...
I want to destroy it.
Yeah, you want to destroy it. Damn. Okay.
It has to die for the greater good of wisdom.
Oh man, it's got to be in Warlock quest level basically. Nobody's playing it. Okay, well, why don't we move on to Warlock, since you brought up key block, Gaara, or just people thinking that key block and it's crazy. And you know, Q block, I remember when a lot of us were just we weren't sure, but we were kind of chuckling when Trump said that after like a day or two of the expansion back then, he was like, Q block is the most powerful deck that we've ever had in Hearthstone. And at the time we were just like, are you serious? Like that, you can already say that? And you know, looking back on it, I think he's potentially right. Like in terms of the dynamic versatility that you actually see from the deck, the synergy, just with so many cards to synergize. And because of that, because there's so much synergy, it's hard to put a finger on exactly what, you know, we'd like to see change just to like bring it down a notch. Because, you know, again, like it can have a little effect kind of like Quest Rogue. It could be devastating to it, or it could just be, you know, just right. So it really just depends. So, yeah, BoarControl, what's your thoughts? Like, what card would you choose? We'll each just kind of like say what we think should change.
It's strange with Q-Block because we've seen the meta adapt quite strongly against it. This expansion with even Paladin has two oozes, 2 Spellbreakers often, and like the most powerful cards you say might just be nerfed like Skull or something, but everyone has weapon removal. You see these priest decks with double weapon removal, Paladin double weapon removal. Even like people playing Quest Rogue with Ooze. Like if you look at the playoffs decks, some people just had 2 weapon removal cards in every single deck they brought, even in their own Warlock deck, to try and destroy the Skull. So it's not like the Skull's so ridiculous there's no counterplay, which is a bit like with Quest Rogue had the issue of no counterplay to the 5/5s. You can actually play multiple science effects, multiple weapon removal, and then get there against a Q block. So it's difficult to put a finger on what card. Maybe just something like, which would affect control as well. I think the Possessed Lackey could go up a mana cost to 6 potentially, and that just slows it all down a bit. The Void Lord comes out slightly later. It's not so good against aggro. And then there's obviously the problem card with Gul'dan, because how I find is, what I notice in the games is they can play for no value for the whole game against Paladin, but because they have Gul'dan and the hero power, and the hero power is so good, they don't need to play any of their cards for any value at all. They can Twisting Nether like a board of 3 dudes, and it doesn't matter because they're always going to win when they get to turn 10. So I'd like to see Gul'dan changed, if anything was changed. Maybe reduce the number of demons summoned, or make the hero power slightly worse. Maybe 2 lifesteal. Maybe,
yeah, I think 2.
I'm not sure. It's hard to know what exact number to go with without testing it. But I think Gul'dan's probably the card which is most problematic, least to counterplay.
Wow, Gul'dan's not even on this list, right? I actually,
yeah, it's not on the list. Yeah,
he might have mentioned it though. He might have mentioned Gul'dan too. Yeah, I think he did. So let me.
Like I had games where I was like 6 cards ahead in fatigue, and I still lost to Gul'dan hero power.
Me too.
Yeah.
Because it's so ridiculous. I think deal 2 damage and heal for 2 is good enough for how good the card is.
It's still a great hero power doing 2 damage and healing for 2.
Yeah, it's still be insane.
Yeah.
I think now it's just outrageous how powerful it is. Like it's so, like you win fatigue games so easily, and you have the ring as well. You have the skull as well. It's just that Warlock has so many things that other classes don't have. Maybe you can do something similar like they did with Hunter. You increase the cost of Dark Pact, by 1 mana. Then you increase Lackey by 1 mana, and then together it's like already an 8 mana combo, and then it's not as powerful anymore. But as BoarControl said as well, Q block doesn't feel so oppressive at all, just because every single deck attacks against Q block, and it's like every single deck has double weapon removal, every single deck has double silence, and then Warlock has like around 55% win rate.
It's crazy. 4 cards dedicated to countering it, and you still lose it sometimes. It's crazy.
So the strongest deck doesn't feel like the strongest deck just because every single deck counters it, but it is obviously a problem, because if you go to a tournament, if you play ladder, you always think in the back of your mind, I guess I have to run double weapon removal for Q blocks to have a chance, because Skull of the Man'ari is so powerful that if you play the card, your opponent doesn't have a weapon removal, you will most likely lose the game against Skull. It's probably the strongest card in the game, but there is counterplay to it, but it forces every single
but the counterplay is the same as like playing BGH in every single deck back in the day, like it's not the proper way to do it. I mean, the thing about weapons too is that it is useful against Paladin too, so that it's not purely just a Warlock thing. Lunith, it does well against that too. So right now, in terms of these kind of hate cards or whatever, or just at least anti-weapon cards, it's a perfect time. Like all the top decks use weapons, so that's the main reason. The silence is, I think, where you can like kind of take a look at it, and that's where I'm gonna go. I mean, Gul'dan I think is a great choice. I think that is something that you guys said, and the change would be awesome. But for me, I think it's the mana cheat. Like I think that was the biggest issue with Kobold and Catacombs, is them introducing all the mana cheat. And right now with Warlock, we have this, like, whether you have it in your hand or you don't have it in your hand, we gotta wait for you to cheat out like a Void Lord or a Doom Guard. And I think if you remove one of them, then all of a sudden you really do affect the win rate. It's still a strong deck, but you definitely take away just them having everything kind of covered. So I think that Lackey would be better. There's some times where I think Lackey, sometimes I think weapons, but
it's the combo with cubes, actually. I think that's the broken part of it. It's like if a Lackey survives, that you do the cube combo afterwards, or if a Skull sticks and then you do a crazy cube combo. Same if like Umbra sticks. If something sticks for Warlock, you do some crazy turn where you can't basically come back from.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the huge problem, right? Like Mage can't polymorph because you already, cubed into Dark Pact and already 3 Doom Guards died. You will get 3 Doom Guards back from Gul'dan.
Yeah.
Or whatever, you play something with Umbra and you suddenly have a full board. Like sometimes they just play Giant into Cube and then go Taldaram on the Cube and they have suddenly 4 Giants or whatever.
Okay, so when we're talking about Cube too, like should Cube be looked at too?
I wonder how good Warlock would be without Cube. Like if it like how broken, because Desmond is off, you have limited resources, right? If you have disablers like Polymorph, it has a huge effect right now because there's only Gul'dan, right? That's all they have. And if they get unlucky, sometimes they have a full board of Void Walkers and it gets screwed.
Yeah.
But without cubes, the deck would lose so much power. Like, it is really the cubes that give them the power.
But the cube is the coolest, most versatile card, though. Like I like
cube a lot.
I would have a hard time taking cube away, given what it does. Because
Cube's only good because of the whole deck around it. Like Cube isn't the card. It's only if they've already stuck a card that they've already got the Doomguard or the Void Lord or the Giant that the Cube becomes good. Cube on its own isn't really a problem. It's, I'd say, the other cards which cause Cube to be good are the problems, maybe.
Okay, let's talk about Doomguard, right? Doomguard obviously isn't included in the control lock, which is super good right now too against Paladins and things like that. But Doomguard is the card that makes Cube, I think, crazy good because of the charge aspect to Doomguard. And Doomguard's always been a card that's, if they had the most wanted list back in Blizzard, I'm sure Doomguard's been near the bottom of that most wanted list many times. It's just they make a new card and it just pops above it. So Doomguard just sits like right on that 11, 12, like 10, 11, 12 type of thing. But yeah, Doomguard, what do you guys think? Just it being the culprit here.
It wouldn't be enough in my opinion because now there's a new cube list, a cube control list that plays Despicable Dreadlord. So if you would nerf Doomguard, you already don't play it in all decks, so it wouldn't affect that deck at all. Like it's like a defensive list; it still plays faceless.
Yeah, like against like Taunt Druid, sticking Doomguard is what you have to do. You just play it from hand, and that's like the whole game plan of that matchup is just getting Doomguard down. So I'd say it affected more than you think. Like if you look at prelims list, almost no one had the Despicable Dreadlord list. It was almost all Doomguards for the cube block.
No, what I'm saying is people would then move to a different version of cube block when you would nerf Doomguard, and I don't think
it would be as strong.
Control lock then, basically.
Yeah, you'd be
without having the burst potential, you'd basically just become control. There's some control lock lists that play cube right now, so I think you just basically switch to control lock without having the damage potential from the Doomguards. Like you end up not being able to beat the matchups that control lock loses, kind of.
How would you classify a cube lock? Like, do you call it a control? I mean, we obviously have control lock, just for lack of a better word, just because the control lock is actually, looks like a control deck, right? There's a ton of removal. It's got that value at the end, and it's a very standard control archetype. What do you call cube lock? I mean, do we call it a combo deck, or do we call it a control deck that just has, crazy amounts of versatility and power?
The beautiful thing about it is in each matchup, it can take a different role. So if you're facing an aggro deck, you can become the control deck. And then if you're facing a control, you can become the aggro. You tap your giants against the control decks, but against aggro, you're never going to want to play the giants. You play the defiles and stuff instead. And the flexibility about it, which is why I like the deck a lot, because it has a high skill cap. You have to work out what you're doing. And especially with your hand as well, you can make very different lines and very different plays with the deck. So I'd say it seems to be like almost a combo deck, but just an all-round deck, maybe you could say.
When it can't be classified, it's broken, man. That's how good it is. Like we definitely have seen some decks. I mean, we've seen obviously mid-range combo decks that result in combo like with Druid but I don't think anything that's been hard to define as this one, because it's just so good in many different ways. The win conditions are just.
I wish they would just make other classes better instead. Like honestly,
I don't actually agree with that. I don't know if I actually like the direction they're taking, where they're just making things weaker. I have no problems with that actually, because it's hard. Like, how are you going to make something better than that, dude? I mean, and if we make something better than that, then you're getting to the point where it's just Hearthstone is just like, okay. Play one card, do 30 damage. I mean, it's like it gets into silly range.
It's disproportionate that they give Warlocks better cards than other classes, and it's like multiple expansions in a row. I think Priest and Warlock got the best cards in the last 2 or 3 expansions, and it's just unbalanced. So, and then you end up being forced to nerf the class because it's too strong. Well, no shit, Sherlock. Because
well, no.
just
So,
gave it the best cards.
I do have to like disagree with you there, because before Kobolds and Catacombs, Warlock sucked, dude. Like, nobody was playing Warlock. Like, we were talking about, oh my god, Disco Lock, and we were talking about, oh man, how do we make the Warlock quest actually any good? It wasn't until they came out with this crazy trifecta of Dark Pack and Void Lord and Cube and Lackey, I mean, and the Skull, like all those things just kind of coming together, 5 cards coming together that just made, you know, this crazy broken deck. And, you know, at the time I was like, it kind of gave me hope that any bad, you know, let's just say Shaman, for example, right now, like any bad class right now could be fixed in the span of like one expansion if they really wanted to. And I think they kind of proved that, at least with Warlock, and they just like went maybe like crazy overboard. But look, I mean, look at that. Like, Warlock was one of the least played classes in Frozen Throne. So, or no, definitely Ungoro. Ungoro is definitely one of the least played, and I think Gul'dan helped a little bit, right? When it came out in Frozen Throne, and then, dude, Kobolds and Catacombs just exploded on us. So,
yeah.
I just don't like nerfing like the high skill cap decks to the ground to unplayability. That we have like a meta where I never want to have a game where decks like Jade Druid are the best decks in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all agree with that.
Like, just decks that are the easiest decks. It should be like spiteful decks, you know? You don't want to have a spiteful meta. Like, Spiteful Druid is one of the best decks in the game. It's not really the hardest deck to play, to be honest.
Yeah.
And so having a deck like Patron Warrior, Q-Block being the best deck is fine. It just should be a bit weaker. But again, it doesn't feel like the best deck in the game because there is counterplay to it. You can play Silence, you can play Weapon Removal, and it really is very good against Warlock. It's just that every deck is forced to run it. So it's...
What do you guys think of a world where Control Warlock would be the only one? The one way that we call Control Warlock right now. You know, just heavy removal. Obviously, just owns Paladin. You know, I mean, is that what we want? Like, do we want a world where?
No.
Yeah, I don't think we want that either. So, it's difficult, man. It's not an easy job for them to try to figure out. You know, like you said, Gaara, though, I think that Warlock has an excess of good cards right now. Like, there are cards sitting in the collection that they're collecting dust. We don't even play right now, which is insane, you know, where we have other classes that have just a bunch of junky cards that you know, we don't have to choose from. So
yeah, I agree. There's an issue with the Q block is it being around for a year and that getting a bit stale. Then you might want to change things up, especially with the lack of new cards. Only Lord Godfrey's playing the new Warlock deck. It's basically the same deck. Mm-hmm. It would be nice to see they could change some cards just so we see more play of some new cards potentially, rather than having the same Q block list running around for the whole year. So for that reason, I can see another reason for the change rather than it just being good, just because things get a bit boring after a while.
Yeah. I guess what card would affect both Control and Cube? I think we look from there. So Gul'dan obviously would be that.
Lackey and Gul'dan.
Yeah, Lackey and Gul'dan. Yeah, I think those are probably the best candidates then. Just something that affects both.
Yeah, Void Lord has such a bad drawn win rate and played win rate because when you play it, you often just die to Spellbreaker.
Yeah,
it's really difficult to get it out of your hand. Like if Lackey's nerfed, then the Void Lord package becomes awkward to play, and then suddenly Gul'dan's a lot worse as well. Everything just snowballs, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely a good point. Okay, so that's Warlock. Let's talk about Paladin now. And Paladin, the two cards I mentioned there, Call to Arms, no surprise. Tarim, no surprise. And then, but the Baku hero power, I thought was an interesting thing. Or just the hero powers themselves. We can even talk about, you know, Gen and Baku, right? So, yeah, thoughts on that? Like, well, what do you think is the most problematic thing here? I mean, there's, again, lots of combination of cards that are just super good in Paladin right now. And
Baku hero power is because of this guy.
yeah, that's so true. That's so true.
One. The Baku hero power, I think, isn't the problem now, but as we saw from the start of the expansion, it could be a problem in the future. We were playing rubbish cards at the start against unrefined decks, and the Baku hero power was really good when I played it on day one. But as we got further into expansion, people were playing refined decks, and you worked out that Raid Leader maybe wasn't the best card. But this really limits all design of any odd cards in the future. If they print any good odd neutral cards, neutral minions, or any good odd paladin cards, suddenly we get this deck with this hero power. If there's any more like dude buffs or dude synergy cards, they just can't be printed because the deck's just going to be broken. So I think it's more of a long-term lookout for future expansions. That the hero power probably needs to be changed. It's just too much resource development, just way too strong, I think, in aggro matchups, especially if Warlock gets nerfed. You see Paladin on the rise again, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting to compare Baku to Glenn, though. That Baku is a problem, but not the even hero power. It's because it basically has the same problem, right? Like, the more even cards you get, the better the even decks become. And right now we see basically even Paladin dominating. But still, Baku is the problem.
Well, it's because it's because of the... I mean, it just happens to be the case with Paladin here, you know, because, like, if you... We were talking a little bit...
and Rogue?
Yeah, well, I mean, even if you... No, because, like, with Paladin, it's weighted so heavy that the cards are so good with the even cards that when you look at the opposite and odd, they're... You know, we're using... I mean, we were using war leaders and, like champions and things like that, right? It's like the card quality is crazy, so that they tried to make it up in terms of the hero power. I mean, literally the best part about playing an odd Paladin is the hero power.
Yeah,
and
I think it's very different.
Yeah, crazy
compared to even, because with even the hero power is so different. With even you hero power on 1, you lose board to their 1-drop, and you swing back on board with Consecration and Call to Arms.
Right.
But with the even Paladin, you get ahead on board because you play a good started 1-drop. And then you snowball ahead with the hero power, which you get every time you get the 2/2. You can just keep on pressing the button, and then you get ahead without even using any resources because you're just pushing the button every time. And then you can get all the value trades as well because you're ahead, and you get to play loads of cards which work with spread wide boards as well, like the raid leader, for instance. It's quite different to the Gen hero power, because that one loses you board, and it's like once Call to Arms is nerfed, the even Paladin gets much worse because you don't come back on board as easily at all anymore.
Imagine the change Call to Arms to 5 mana and then suddenly play it in Baku.
It'll be fine in Baku.
Oh my god!
It's only 3/1 mana.
Oh my god! Yeah, they changed the mana cost. Holy crap! That'd be
nice. I
don't think it's a problem. I think it's fine if you go to odd Paladin. 3/1 drops isn't an issue for 5 mana. That's the same as like playing Ravencaller and playing the 2 minions from your hand. I don't think it's a problem.
Oh, that's true. It would just be 1-drops. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
But it would be so funny.
It would be funny.
Everyone is like, for one day, yes.
Yeah, 3 2-drops is like super, obviously crazy good. You know, especially those 2-drops that we've been running. So it's a tough thing. Like, again, like I don't think this is just. You know, I think them introducing this was pretty bold, and I think it's pretty interesting to at least show that the classes can be divided, you know, bisected in a way like this. You know, even
how nerf could you nerf Baku? It's impossible.
Baku? I mean, I think the 2/2 hero power is not a terrible suggestion, or a terrible idea. You know, because the wide board is what's so difficult about playing against that deck. So even just a single 2/2 would, I think, hurt that hero power just a slight bit. Still good, but it wouldn't be so easy to buff it with swords and, you know, just everything, right? That's automatic buffs, like every time you're able to do that. So I think that would be at least a good first step. And then I think, you know, taking a look at everything like Tarum and you know, should Tarum be 2/2s or maybe 3/2s, or you know, I'm not sure. Tarum is such a great card. Like it's another one of those cards, Gar. Like there's no counterplay to it. I mean, it's just good. It's a defensive card and an offensive card. It's one of the things I've actually loved about it. Like it's one of those cards that I think is powerful, but I actually don't have a problem with it because I just kind of like it. So. If they changed it, I'd be bummed a little bit, but I totally can see why they would need to buff it just to at least balance out Paladin a little bit. So all right, let's conclude on cards to change. So Call to Arms. Are you BoarControl? You're saying like change it to 5 mana? Like seriously? Okay. Change it to 5 mana. All right, that's
some people say
really
it
interesting
would even be playable for 6 mana. Like. People would definitely consider playing it for 6 mana.
In that deck? I mean, sure. I mean,
2-drops.
If I had control, Call to Arms, I'd definitely play it on 6 mana given that deck. But not having it at 4 is huge. Like, what do you play it for then?
Yeah.
Like
Bowwing a Sentry. But it doesn't work in even, I guess. So.
yeah. So okay,
Yeti.
yeah, that's a good suggestion. That's a good one.
Chain Gang, yeah.
Is that enough though?
Yeah, Spellbreaker Chain Gang.
I think it's still a strong card for 5 mana. I don't like when you obliterate cards with the nerfs. If you like make it 6 mana, I think it just becomes bad.
Yeah.
And it won't see play. Whereas if you just increase it to 5, it becomes a decent card rather than being ridiculously overpowered like it is now.
The way I look at it is that if you change it to 5, like basically instead of seeing even Paladin at the top, you just see Murloc Paladin at the top. Like it's just going to swap. You know, they're already close right now, and I think even though Murloc Paladin does benefit too from like the Call Arms playing at 4, Murloc Paladin has more plays at 4 than just your obviously compared to Baku, of course, and even just the even Paladin. I think if you removed Call to Arms, there's not nearly as many powerful cards like True Silver and Consecrate, and there's nothing that crazy awesome. So I think that it would hurt even Paladin, but you still don't fix the Paladin issue. Like if Paladin play rate as a class is the problem, then I don't think you fix that, because people will still play the various Paladins.
Yeah, I don't think it would do that much if Call to Arms go to 5 mana.
It destroys even Paladin, I think.
No,
you lose your best cards.
Even Paladin for sure. Yeah, if it goes.
I think even Paladin goes to being like one of the most played decks, like right down to one of the least played.
Yeah, exactly. But you'd still have Odd Paladin and you still have Murloc Paladin. Those two would still be good.
Yeah, well, I think that solves the Paladin problem. You don't want to remove Paladin completely from the game, right?
No.
You just want to make it a bit worse.
But wouldn't you want to make all of them more? I guess, yeah.
But wouldn't
Odd
Paladin be broken?
Yeah, I guess Called Arms, changes all of
them. Wouldn't Odd Paladin be too strong, though?
No. It's not that good. 5 mana Call to Arms for 3 1 mana. What do you even get? What are the 3 good 1 mana cards you're getting?
1 mana cards is just not that good.
Like, Righteous Protector, and then that's it, right?
Yeah.
Protector, Squire.
But maybe in future expansion or something like that.
Yeah, Firefly's bad, right? Anything with Battlecry.
Yeah. Odd Paladin has problems in future expansions, yeah, definitely. That needs to be fixed with the hero power. I don't know how, but something needs to happen.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that would be pretty good. Yeah, I don't think that any other cards were mentioned, right? Those are the only 2. Are there any other cards you wish you would seen on the list here? Like in terms of maybe not Paladin and not Warlock?
Me personally, cards that I don't like, as I said many times, cards that are, I think, bad for the competitive aspect of the game. Cards like Grin, cards like Archbishop Benedictus. It's like we don't see them too often. For me, it's very similar like Quest Rogue as an archetype. I think.
I mean,
like you want to see
really
people out
Benedictus,
each other,
right? I don't. I think of Benedictus like Dead Man's Hand, ish type of feel to it. It just like adds a bunch of cards, and
I don't think that's a good direction to go with control decks.
Okay, yeah.
I want to see people outplay each other, use their resources carefully, not play a card that generates you 30 more cards, or like Elise giving you another Elise.
Yeah,
it's really bad for the competitive aspect of the game. It's really bad. Like, how do we outplay each other? Like right now, I'm playing Big Spell Mage. I want so many. I feel disgusted by myself. I play Syndragosa and I kill a token. I get Hydronox, and then I get like a full board of Lich Kings, and I just suddenly win the game. Today I played Big Spell Mage Mirror, and I got Archbishop Benedictus. I played it again in a mirror.
That's just luck, dude. You're just getting high roll shit.
Well, I didn't outplay my opponent.
I get freaking Millhouse Mana Storm and crap like that when I
How's that good for the competitive aspect of the game? I hate random value generation cards. I think they're really bad. Stonehill Defender, gone. Like Operative, gone.
Not for more.
No, dude,
no more of these cards. Get out of my game.
I don't know. Stonehill, I don't have as much problem with Stonehill, but
gives you some
I mean, I can understand you're thinking about just these crazy like value cards for long games.
Lich King is also bad, by the way. Really bad for the game. Lich King.
God, because you're just like pooping on everybody's like favorite cards right now, man.
Yeah, but you can get a useless card and a card that wins you the game. I mean, there's a big difference.
What card wins you the game generally with Lich King?
Frostmourne.
Just Frostmourne, right? Yeah, but you can
Diff Grip, Frostmourne.
Yeah,
they can all win you the game. Like even Death and Decay can win you the game.
I mean, we said that about. I mean, Ysera had those kind of things too, right? Like maybe not quite as crazy as Frostmourne.
First of all, way harder to get her out. She has worse stats. She's a 9-mana card. She doesn't have taunt. But I compared actually on my stream the outcomes from Ysera compared to Lich King. Lich King is like 20 times better. The Ysera cards are not that great, honestly. Like getting a Laughing Sister in like turn 12 or whatever is
Laughing Sister is terrible. But the others are good.
But if you play like Ysera, let's say in a control mage where you don't have minions, Nightmare is useless. You have nothing to buff. Dream is basically just a sap. It's just a sap. It's not like a death grip where you win fatigue faster. Yeah, it's not that crazy in a control deck.
Mana sap? That's
amazing. It's good, but it's not crazy. Dude, Lich King gives you a weapon.
I'm just arguing for the sake of arguing here, but Lich King's good, but I don't know. For me, I still like Lich King. Like I we don't have many greedy cards right now in Hearthstone. Like there was a time where before even Lich King, I was just like, dude, where are these greedy cards if I just want to play, just this crazy value type of game and I don't care if I lose or not. I just want to like get a bunch of awesome cards. Like we just don't have that many of them. I mean, maybe now we do. Maybe after like a couple releases, but at the time when they came out with Lich King, it was like the only card that would just generate you potentially infinite cards, right?
Now we have DKs, which are basically
now we have the Hunter DK and I mean Lich King I guess came out at the same time as that, but so okay, well Gaara has a bunch. BoarControl, any cards any cards you kind of wish was on the list that you think it might be problematic in other classes right now?
No, I've always hated Edwin Van Cleef. That always comes to mind, just because the times you remember when you just make a 12/12 on turn 1 or turn 2, and you're like, great, next game. I just don't really enjoy those ones. I've always wanted that. Like, it's not in the play in the meta so much at the moment, but it's going to come back into it at some point. I know, and I'm going to get really annoyed when I lose to it. I can feel it coming already.
Yeah, I mean Miracle, right? Like some people play it in Miracle.
Still, but... and that's a slightly prevalent. It's not really much on ladder, but in tournaments, and that just blows you out on turn 2, and it's just not fun to play against at all.
Yeah. Well, okay. So would it be any better though if there were like let's say a bunch of Shadow Word Deaths were being played, and and Rogue just basically just chooses to go all in on you, and if they if they lose if they guess wrong, they just lose, right? So
I used to be fine with Edwin. It's not so bad now because everyone's playing science because of Warlock. But when they nerf Iron Beak Owl and stuff, they nerf science effects, but they keep these cards which get buffed. Like I feel like if you're going to nerf the science effects in the game, you should also nerf the cards which were weak to those cards. And that's why Edwin got really good after the Owl nerf. It's not so good now because everyone's playing Spellbreaker because of Warlock. But I just think in the future, because it's a classic card, we're going to have problems again when these Warlock cards get nerfed or when they rotate. Edwin's going to be a problem in the future.
Right.
Yeah, but we have Voodoo Doll as well.
Yeah, we have Voodoo Doll now, but that doesn't even kill it though.
What? It doesn't? What do you mean? Like, what do you mean?
I mean, you play Voodoo. They play Edwin on turn 2, right?
Oh, you mean you don't have time to kill it? Well, you could cast it on it and then just take your 8, 10 damage one time and then kill it later. Oh, it's brutal when they silence it too. Oh shoot, it's crazy.
Yeah, I like it when there's a punish for the Edwin, as in you have to make a choice about science, but when no one's playing science cards because they were bad, then it's a lot different. But hopefully it won't be an issue in the future. We'll have to see.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, why don't we move on? But before we do, I just want to give a shout out to our sponsor today, Dollar Shave Club. And for those that don't use Dollar Shave Club, they are a service that you can go to that that has a bunch of different shaving packages that you can sign up for. They also have your typical type of mailing type of thing where they'll send you like this kit every once in a while. You can sign up for that too. But some of the cool things that you can do right now is just go and sign up for their starter package, which includes some body cleanser, some wipes, and me and Gaara obviously got a chance to got our own starter kit with a razor and a set of razor blades too. I think 6 of them in particular, so you can give it a try. And it's only $5. You can go to dollarshaveclub.com/valuetown and definitely sign up for that right now. But they've got all kinds of things there, like all kinds of cleansing products and different scented ones. They got shampoo and conditioner and body wash too. They have all kinds of things on Dollar Shave Club now. Before, people were just thinking that it was just razors and that's it. But now, you can definitely, pick from an array of things. Mostly, I think it's just awesome. Again, for a lot of people are just kind of lazy and just, it's like I have my razor base and it's just like I have to go keep going and getting, just your razors. Dollar Shave Club's like awesome about just kind of sending you some like periodically. And again, like you can include more to it, but just at least the base razors, I think it's awesome. Gaara, like, you much of a shaver? You obviously shave, like.
Yes.
Yeah. Like
I still haven't used up the starter kit.
You still haven't? Wow.
Oh like there's gosh, like 6 blades or something.
Yeah, that's true. I guess I haven't either. Like I haven't used up all 6 of them.
But, yeah. It's kind of crazy to think about that. It's like $5.
Yeah. It's super cheap, man. Definitely super cheap.
Great value, like Trump would say.
Yeah, that's why it's Valuetown. Anyways, go check that out, guys. Again, dollarshaveclub.com/Valuetown. And yeah, get shaving with them. All right, next up we've got HCT Playoffs. So the Europe Playoffs were this past weekend, and BoarControl got a chance to compete in it, and you finished 27th, right?
Yep.
Respectable.
Yeah, decent performance. Yeah, I was hoping for top 32. That was the objective, so I got top 32. It was nice. Yeah, so happy overall.
What was your Swiss record?
I went 4-3.
Okay.
Yeah, started off quite well at 3-1. Was a bit optimistic then, but it went a bit downhill. Yeah, ended up 4-3, which is it's positive, which is what you hope for.
Yeah. What lineup did you bring again?
Yeah, so I brought the Spiteful Druid, Even Paladin, Temper Mage, and Q-Block lineup.
Okay. And
that lineup was also had the same decks pretty much as Pheno and as Bunny Hopper, and they both made top 8. So overall, as a practice group, we're very happy about how it went. 2 top 8s out of 3 is nuts. It's a ridiculous record, and then 1 top 4 as well. Yeah, was great. And overall, the like 75% win rate across the board, all 3 of us. So we're very happy about it. Yeah.
Is there a site that shows the team rankings right now?
There is not. No. It's annoying. Yes, we're trying to work it out ourselves. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. So it'd be nice to see like how you guys are measuring up. I'm pretty sure you guys are doing really. You're first. Oh, Fated Karma is number 1.
We think we're first. Yeah.
Wow, man, you guys are doing amazing then. But that lineup sounded pretty cool. It sounded like you were going more for a tempo type of lineup. Yeah. Just having that 1 control, obviously, or at least Q-Block is kind of mixture, right?
Yeah, just trying to be not weak to Quest Rogue players, and also we expected a lot of people to target Control Warlock with these Taunt Druid decks. We saw there's a Mind Blast Priest and Taunt Druid, and then Greedy Q-Block, and people who bought Control Lock were getting targeted a lot on that, quite a low percentage win rate compared to Q-Block, I think, in the tournament. So we were just trying to be strong against everything across the field, not weak to Quest Rogue either with the Paladin and the Mage, so just good overall basically with these decks. Yeah. And it worked out well in the end.
No, that's definitely good. I think the Taunt Druid, we were talking to Tyler obviously last week. Tyler had a little bit of an opposite approach to you, right? He had a very, very control-oriented lineup. Crazy. I mean, at the time I thought it was crazy, but then like when I looked at everybody else's lineups, I'm like, oh my gosh, I guess everybody like was definitely thinking that it would be a control-oriented type of meta there, and then so they went greedy, with Benedictus.
Yeah, he was trying to destroy the Control Lock. Yeah. He had that lineup, which even Benedictus, so you don't never get fatigues and stuff. Yeah, he was really trying to beat up the Control Lock, but the problem was when someone doesn't play Control Lock and you have your super greedy lineup and you face like an aggro guy, things like the Benedictus tech that you put in end up backfiring quite a bit, and that's just a completely dead card against aggro.
Exactly. Yeah, and then the Taunt Druid too. Like Taunt Druid kind of disappeared right from the ladder meta just because after it had its heyday in the first couple weeks, people just realized that it was weak against a lot of the strong decks. But clearly in the meta for events, it's been viable, right? Just like Quest Rogue is. I mean, it's there to serve a purpose, and we saw a lot of it. Like I think Druid was like one of the powerful classes in the tournament, and I'm going to link Old Guardian's article here. Our Old Guardian does such a great job, guys, of analyzing these esports events. Definitely go check him out. We'll have him on the show one of these days. But he does a quick recap, or not quick recap, actually a very thorough recap.
A long recap.
Yeah, a long recap.
The longest, actually.
Yeah. He shows like some of the, spotlights some of the decks, shows just like what the win percentages were for all the classes. And yeah, one of the things I noticed that was just Druid, had a really good showing there with like 28 Spiteful Druids, 25 Taunt Druids. and even a Quest Malagus Druid and a Togwaggle Druid. It's like, wow, interesting, and even a Token Druid. So Druid's doing just fine in the event meta, even though we've seen it kind of disappear a little bit recently in the ladder meta. So
because I think the main reason for that is that it auto loses to Quest Stroke. It's you can concede, and that's like very frustrating.
Yeah, Spiteful Druid's not that bad against it. Taunt Druid definitely, It's just we've seen Spiteful Druid. The main weakness is Paladin and Warlock for Druid, which is ladder, I would say. And when you get to ban Paladin, and then you can take a bit for the other matchup, then things get a little better for you. Like once you ban Paladin, cards like Vicious Fledgling, you put that in your Spiteful Druid deck, and that gives you a much better chance of beating a deck like Keyblock. And suddenly your percentages increase there. And just by able to remove one of your bad matchups with Spiteful and with Taunt Druid, then the deck becomes very strong, as we saw in the tournament.
Yeah. And of course, Warlock was number one with just pretty even split between Q-Blocks and Control Warlocks. Saw a lot of mirror matchups, I think, and that was it's kind of learning, actually. I learned quite a bit just watching some of the VODs in terms of just how to play against each. I think that's kind of one of the things I wish was, I don't know, like I feel like a lot of viewers would learn a lot if there was just more elements to like explain what the players were thinking and things like that. But it kind of reminded me of just when we used to see Raza Priests played against each other. You know, and they're like little decisions, and it's like it's tough on the casters because the casters have to pick up on every little thing. So it's it'd be nice to see, you know, maybe something added there. But this is kind of the breakdown. You see 69 Warlocks, 57 Druids, 46 Priests, 34 Paladins, 30 Rogues, 26 Mages, 23 Warriors, 6 Hunters, and then that one Shudderwock Shaman trying to get the camera time is basically what I think they were doing there.
Was he on stream?
No,
he never made it to stream, so it backfired on him.
Yeah, I remember he went 0-2 and faced Hunter Race, who was everyone's favourite for that tournament, and then Hunter Race had a full control lineup, and then lost to the Shudderwock Shaman, of course.
Oh man, that should have been on stream. That would have been amazing.
Unlucky.
It's so good. Oh, it's crazy. But yeah, so overall, anything surprise you? Like if you were to go back and kind of reassess, anything you would have done differently? Like forget like 20 post, you know, obviously afterwards being in 2020, but like in preparation for the next one, what would you do differently?
Yeah, I really didn't expect this many Priests in the tournament. I thought Priest was a decent deck. It was a good deck on ladder, but I didn't expect like it to be the most commonly brought deck with Mind Blast Priest in the whole tournament. And that shocked me a lot, and I'd probably have teched a little bit more for that matchup. Maybe you see people are adapting now for the Americas playoffs, and they've got loads of extra healing cards in their Warlock decks to try and counter the Priest Mind Blast combo. We see, just even like Othering Faster, I saw in one person's deck, and like Sacrificial Pact being teched in, and there's the 4-mana heal for 4 as well, which is like Othering. His name forgets me, and they've teched all them, so I'd probably do that for the Priest. But overall, I think the Reader's quite good in the metagame. Like when I was putting it, you make your spreadsheets and then you try and put in a frequency for each deck to see what expected win rates you can get. And like my frequencies were pretty accurate, pretty close. Maybe not expecting so many Warriors, but then Warrior did rubbish anyway in the tournament. I believe it had a 39% win rate overall, which was pretty terrible. Like you don't get like I've never seen a deck that low in a tournament than Warrior in this playoffs. It was crazy.
Right.
So yeah, just maybe plan a bit more for Priest. And we see as well Tempo Mage. Maybe we see a lot of Odd Rogues in Americas in response to EU because Odd Rogue beats Tempo Mage, and people have tried to target that. It's definitely a potential weak point that people have tried to beat up now. And maybe you could try and build a strategy that beats Tempo Mage, since there were 20 of them in the tournament as well.
So you know what the spreadsheet thing, you know you can do that on HSReplay.net, right?
Yeah, I was using HSReplay.
Okay, just making sure you weren't doing Excel when we have the custom weights on the site for people.
Yeah, sometimes you want your own weight, you want your own win rates, so you have to. But I was using HSReplay a lot. You so go through their custom weights, stuck on, and then you can put your favorite decks, and you can do it. So you can have the bands as well. Yeah.
Yep. You can ban. A lot of people don't know this because it's not clear in our UI that you can ban. You can actually eliminate classes, and it readjusts the effective win rates.
So before you play your opponent in the tournament, you can just stick in his decks, put them all on 25, and then work out which band's best for your expected win rates as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So just just a little feature that maybe some of you guys didn't know about on the site. So okay, so I guess maybe next time Priest. It's so hard because obviously America's happening next, I believe, and they're gonna. It's always interesting to see who metagames what happened at EU or who metagames what they think is going to be metagamed at EU, and it's like you want to be that person that's ahead of everybody else. Really curious to see how just everybody in America is going to react to it. Gaara, what do you think people are going to do? You think they're gonna? How do you think they're going to respond?
I think history kind of repeats itself. If you remember the last preliminaries before this one is, I think we had like a control meta on EU, and then everyone went like quest mage, quest rogue.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. Like nobody would expect that.
Monsanto had 4 quest decks, right? Or there was only 3. It was crazy.
Yeah.
It's like so different. It's just countering. I think that's like the obvious thing to do. You look at EU lineups or the winning lineups, and then you're like, okay, people will copy that, and then you can make a counter lineup, and then in the end everyone has a counter lineup as well. I think Europe is definitely always as a disadvantage because basically you have to create the meta, the tournament meta, so it's very hard. I think NA is definitely easier because you see all these different lineups, you see how people think, you have like a lot of sample size, and I don't think the double counter mind game is like that big of a deal. It's, I think, way harder to create the first initial top lineups. So, but yeah, you definitely try to target decks that people will not change as much. Like, for example, Paladin will be probably even more popular, or is even more popular. Do we have stats? I mean, the lineups are already public, but I don't know if you have stats of percentages, how they changed. I know that people will play more Druid, and people will play less Priests because like a lot of the pro players said they regretted bringing Priest because it was the worst performing deck. So I expect more Paladin, more Druid, less Priests, and then people targeting these niche decks like Mage. Because you expect people to still bring Mage, and you don't expect people to change the Mage decks too much or like change that in the lineup. You can expect people to not maybe bring Warlock, you know, stuff like that, but targeting these niche decks seems like a good strategy, especially in Conquest.
Well, we just got hosted by Mitsuhide. Thanks so much, man, for hosting us. Really appreciate it. But if people regretted playing Priest, aren't you supposed to bring Priest because of that? Just because nobody expects you to do it? So just completely counter meting. Like, what decks do you think would be kind of interesting to see? Like you said, the decks are already in, right? And I actually didn't see the breakdown of it. Like, I wish I.
Yeah, I think
I didn't.
We basically have to. Honestly, I looked it up. I was quite disappointed. Honestly, I was streaming. I didn't catch the finals, like the top 8. So I was looking at Reddit, and there was no Reddit post about the finalists.
You messaged me, right? Like, you couldn't believe that there was no Reddit post on our Hearthstone about the playoffs.
So the main breakdown was by Old Guardian. So basically, we are waiting for Old Guardian to do the breakdown.
Doing God's work, man. Doing Hearthstone God's work. Blizzard just needs to hire him, like, and just have him write all the esports stuff, and provide because they have an esports portal right now. It's just there's nothing on it that's updated. Like I was looking on the actual event for the EU playoffs in the article, and the links went to these old battle fight. There was like old events like with that battle fight. So I had to actually find the updated battle fight and some comment in the forums or in Reddit. So they need to keep it updated.
We had Gosu Gamers at some point, and then they stopped doing it. And now we kind of have nobody doing it. It's like it's kind of stupid to do predictions when everything is already public, but you kind of have to go through Twitter and collect what everyone.
I mean, Hearthstone does some stuff too, but it's not like as extensive as it needs to be, right? Like, we have some survival guides, this type of stuff, but it's like post though. Outside of just showing all the decks, just getting some stats for it. I mean, I think that's the thing that we're kind of looking for. It's kind of, so
in chat I posted the breakdown of the difference between Europe and Americas. Here
we go.
And how they've reacted. You see, Spiteful Druid is the most popular. Well, it wasn't the most popular deck in EU, but it was the best deck. So everyone's bought Druid now from America. You see a 20 increase. Even Paladin as well did well in Europe. So everyone's bought that. And then reaction to Mind Blast Feast doing bad. That's gone down by 16 as well. So if you could predict that Spiteful Druid and even Paladin were going to be bought more, maybe you could try and counter that now. And if people have done that, they're going to have great success.
Dude, where's that Baku control warrior right here, man? It's right here. Or actually, not the Baku one. We were talking about the Gen one earlier. The Gen control warrior, right?
The Gen one's not there yet.
The Jombre one. That would be pretty sweet. Yeah, I mean, if you ban Warlock, then even Paladin, right? It's got an interesting road. I wouldn't say it's easy because people will come up with potentially something good, but a lot of people won't. So it's just going to be a bunch of mirror matchups potentially. And even Paladin does pretty well against all of these different decks right now. Spiteful Druids, any tweaks you think? Anybody? You think any people will run anything differently? Maybe throw in a spreading play here or something? Actually, you're not going to do that just because of the UI. But something.
The stupid thing is the decks are already public, so making like predictions.
Oh, true. Yeah, I always forget that, man. It's always so early, man. It's
Mindbreaker, yeah.
Oh, Mindbreaker. Okay.
This is interesting.
Wait, how many shamans do we have? Do we have a shaman?
We have 3 even shamans, right? I think.
Yeah, oh my god! It actually makes sense. I was talking about this today. It's not so bad against other aggro decks. Like it's good versus Paladin.
Yeah, because it's one of the better matchups. Yeah, for it.
It beats Temper Mage, and if you're bringing an aggro lineup that wants to beat Questrogue, but you don't want to play a deck like Hunter, which is really bad against Paladin,
right?
Even Shaman makes
Warlock.
Yeah, because you probably ban Warlock if you're playing even Shaman, right?
Mm-hmm. And yeah, you get the good matches in the aggro versus aggro, or the tempo versus tempo type of thing. Yeah, that does make sense.
Man, if even Shaman gets into like top 4, that would be so sick if you think about it.
Yeah,
that would be really like the game changer. Like it was so next level.
Right. So few people, brought Miracle Rogue, right? But Miracle Rogue was one of the topics, after the event, and how, it performed a lot better than I think even a lot of people thought. So seems like people still are pretty down on Miracle Rogue right now, just it not potentially being good in whatever meta it is, because we're only seeing 2 now. After we had 3 in EU. Yeah,
feels like people are sort of all in when they bring Rogue, and they've just gone for the Quest Rogue rather than Miracle Rogue's a bit non-committal, or the matchup's a bit close to 50%.
Yeah.
So if you face the full aggro lineup, you have a chance against the Temper Mage and against Paladin.
Yeah.
Whereas people, if they bought their Quest Rogue lineup, they've gone all in on their strategy to beat Control, and they're going to hope to face Control, and they're going to beat up Control with Quest Rogue.
Yeah.
Rather than go with this Miracle strategy, that's what it looks like people are thinking.
Mm-hmm. All right, any crazy decks on just something I'm hoping. Togwaggle Druid. Okay, we got one down here. We got. Oh, actually, no, that was Europe. So all of these is like screw it. So I don't see anything too crazy here.
The problem is it's the format. Conquest really doesn't allow any fancy decks. In LHS, you would see more likely fancy decks than in Conquest.
Yeah, I could see that. All right. Well, anyways, tune into that. That is it this weekend? It is this weekend. Yeah, it's this weekend. Definitely hours will be a lot better for us over here.
2 days.
Yeah, in 2 days. And root for some of your favorites. There's a lot of big name players in this, so I think that's going to be really, really cool. And just to, I guess, sum up who made it through, with the EU playoffs. So we got Turna, and we got Viper, and then AA3650, and then Bunny Hopper got through too. So.
Casper. People should start calling him Casper, man. He said it in interviews. Just call him Casper.
Just call him Casper? Okay.
Like even the casters still call him A.
He said his name was randomly generated, yeah.
I know, but change your name. You can still have a Blizzard allows you to change your name, right? Like you can change it.
Yeah, he should change it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, man. They used to charge us for that. They don't even charge us for that, at least for our single one. So I mean, that's what's gonna happen, dude. If your name is that, that's just what's gonna happen. We're gonna refer to you as that. But yeah, the other people definitely should be Casper there. But anyways, congratulations to those 4, and we'll get 4 more right this weekend. And then we'll finish off with Asia at the end of the month. And then we'll get some balance changes after that. It'd be good. Definitely good. All right. Next up, we've got meta. We kind of talked about meta a little bit, so we might just kind of go through this a little bit quicker and kind of show the power rankings, see how things have changed since last week when we talked about it. And, no changes at the top, obviously, Paladin, Warlock. But we did see some movement in terms of what was good and what was popular from 3, 4, and 5. So popularity, we saw Mage shoot up, and I'm sure BoarControl had a little bit to do with that. This is the last day, by the way, 24 hours, what we're looking at.
All the Mage games are me.
Exactly, all the Mage games are him. And just people watching him and seeing all his success.
He's boosting this time.
Exactly. Clearly, you're the only one, because the Mage winning percentage went down 48.2, and this is ranked 4 to Legend, by the way.
And the Hunter one dropping to 9 is because I stopped playing Hunter on ladder.
Dude, Hunter popular, look at that. I didn't think it was possible. To unseat Shaman. Look, but it is possible. It is completely possible.
I can predict the main reason for that. I think the main reason for that is Hunter auto loses to Warlock, like all versions of Warlock, and that's like a really huge problem for the class.
Yeah.
Yeah. Without Barnes, Spellhunter still did well at EU Playoffs. It was the highest win rate class, even with a small sample of only like 40 games. When they could get rid of Warlock and ban that away, it has strong matchups against like Tempo Mage and Paladin.
Yeah.
And it's good against Warrior as well because of the Rexar.
Yeah, turn 3 Yasharaj is pretty good, man. No.
Yeah. Losing that is quite bad.
Oh, you're talking about like 6 Van Cleaves, right? Or 8/8s on turn 3.
Losing Barnes and Barnes Hunter.
Exactly. It can be pretty brutal there. But yeah, Hunter almost needs a sap or something like that. I don't even know what it needs, but
Mad Scientist.
I don't even think Mad Scientist would rescue it.
No, we need Control Hunter. That's what we need, man. We need more Control Hunter cards.
Control Hunter hasn't even survived. It hasn't survived the early game, man. That's like right now. I kind of wish Hunter had the rush package that Warrior has. Like that could have helped Hunter quite a bit, and not been all this face hunter type of stuff, right? Like face hunter and aggro hunter has always been, problematic at times, or at least it's carried the aggro archetype for a long time, and for too long, and people just stop liking it. And we still see it some, right, with the face hunter, the Wolf Rider, version, the Baku version. But I think that it would have been a nice that class would have been a nice way to keep the early game relevant and potentially powerful against the aggro archetypes. Right now, it's just like we have nothing. There's nothing outside of the candle to even do anything remotely effective against these crazy powerful turns 1, 2, and 3s. So until that gets fixed, and then like you said, Void Lords and stuff like that for Warlock, I don't even know what we can do with Hunter. There's good stuff in Hunter right now. So it's like a matter of just filling a couple of those holes, and then all of a sudden people will be playing Hunter.
Yeah, Hunter has a good classic core package with the bow, Houndmaster, Kill Command. It just needs a few good early game tools to just fit with that. So it can maybe mid-range Hunter can curve out, or maybe just some better spells for Spell Hunter. Like, there's no way to remove a Void Lord for Hunter. It needs a hard removal card to be a good control deck.
It's Freeze Trap, which can be played around completely.
Yeah, exactly. You just don't attack with your Void Lord problem solved.
Exactly. So, yeah, it's pretty brutal that way right now. And the new cards, I was actually referring to the new cards. I think the new cards actually introduced some very solid value packages for Hunter, but they're just missing all that early game right now. Like everything they kind of had before just gone now, right? So they need to replace that stuff.
Yeah,
it's going to take another. Outside of that, you saw just Druid dropping. I think at least from a power ranking standpoint, Druid, Mage, and Warrior dropped a little bit. Same with popularity too. I think Rogue dropped from. I think Rogue was number 3, I believe, last week. So that kind of dropped a little bit. Still clearly Paladin Warlock. It's the Paladin Warlock world. And
people giving up on Warrior, I feel like, as well. I feel like in the last few weeks, people really tried, believed in the Baku Warrior. Now also with the playoffs, showing that Warrior was really like one of the worst performing deck, if not the worst performing class.
Yeah, by far.
Yeah.
People are giving up on the Control Warrior.
It's just not better than the others, like in the same archetype. You know, why play something inferior, right? And it doesn't give you that much that's very unique to the warrior either. So not that surprised. Winning percentage, you know, we still see a pretty close range, and, you know, from, I would say even from 2 to 6. It's not that far.
Yeah.
It just kind of looks bad, but it's actually not. But yeah, that's kind of how it looks. Some of the top decks this week, or at least today, in the last 24 hours. No surprise, even Paladin, Control Lock, Quest Rogue, which is that kind of interesting, Q Block, and then Control Priest. So kind of surprised that Mage isn't on here, given that I've seen quite a few mages too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think these versions are pretty much what you would expect, all the standard ones.
Yeah, that even Paladin recently, Zixo obviously posting rank 1 legend with it, and then everyone's been playing that and posting co-ranks as well.
Yeah.
That's like slightly different. People were always playing like the Lich King, and then this one doesn't include the Life You Stegadon package, and there's no Dragot's Jailer as well. So just removing that package and playing Chain Gang makes it slightly better against aggro, and then the Archer Commanders, I think, really help against the Priest, which was a big problem for Paladin. Now you can make a sticky board against like Dustbreaker and have more burst damage from hand, which is quite important against Priests. So once you've solved your bad matchup as Paladin, it just gets even better, as we see with this ridiculous win rate.
Yeah, I played a lot of this actually in the last day. I mean, when I was playing, I played mostly this like a couple of days ago, and yeah, the Valenier is like really, really good with Archer Commander. It's like
and the Direwolf left. I think that's also quite new.
Which one? Oh,
the Direwolf.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The version I played had it, and he has Beetles in here instead, right?
Oh, so, yeah, this one has Beetles instead of Direwolf. Yeah. I think Zixo might have had Direwolf, but the Direwolf's just worse off Courtois, but better to be played sometimes.
Yep.
Yeah, Beetles just aggro tech if you're facing more mages.
Yeah, the Wolf, I think buffing your Silverhammer Recruit is a really important play against a lot of different decks. So or even it chipping something right for 2 versus 1 is like really good in that kind of first turn, or first 2 turns. But yeah, this version I think has performed super well. Like at one point I think I ended up being at 69% with this deck, or 70%. At one point I was like 17-2 or something with it. It was insane. Yeah, it was really, really good when I was starting at like rank 5, or and work my way up. But yeah, definitely check that out. And Priest is pretty much the same. I think the Q Block's pretty much the same. Control Lock. If you haven't played Control Lock, this is pretty much what it looks like right now. Those are the Shroom Brewers where you were talking about earlier. BoarControl.
Yeah, the Shroom Brewers are the tech for Priest. Yeah.
So, anyways, good stuff. Check that out. Those are all definitely good. You can obviously find these on our hsreplay.net meta tier. If you click on the meta tab, you'll see some of these maybe there if you click on the archetypes. But yeah, still moving along the meta. Right now, I want to give a shout out to just some of our folks that have been supporting the show for a while, the patrons. If you want to support the show, go to patreon.com/valuetown and make a pledge. Help us out. Help us continue doing this show. A lot of these folks that want to mention here have been supporting the show for a while and really, really appreciate that. Mike T, legendary producer, of course, and then Ray Dan, Bob K, Gary D, Dan S, Nick P, Peter V, Aaron B, Keepa, Greg S, Nicholas B, Eric C, Devilsaurus, and Juan P. Thank you so much, guys, for doing that. And again, if you just go to the site, Patreon I've been using for a long time. They're definitely great, and it's you can donate as much as you want, like $1, $20, quarter, whatever you want to do. But it basically what it does is it charges you for each of the episodes we come out, so that if we skip a week, you don't get charged for anything like that. So check it out, and we really appreciate it if you support it. All right, Q&A, guys. To kind of finish up, we'll just have one last Q&A here. Jason R has an idea about... Actually, no, let's start with Ahmed H, and we'll finish with Jason R's. Ahmed H has an interesting question. With the nerfs coming, I expect Call to Arms to be getting the hammer. Is it playable if... we just talked about, right? Playable in 5 mana and odd pattern, or even 6 mana. So the 6 mana, I think, is probably the thing. And Gaara said that 6 mana, yes. BoarControl, you on the fence on that?
I mean, playable. Yeah, I mean, you probably still play it because think about what it does. 6 mana, you draw 3 cards and you play them. It's like a Nourish, and then you play the cards. It's still good. It's definitely still playable for 6, I'd say, but not Yeah. For now, with the current cards, it's kind of crazy that it's a 4-mana card. It's playable for 6.
Well, it's playable only in the even deck, right? Like you wouldn't play it in Murloc Paladin, right? Oh my god! Jesus, really? I don't think I would play it in Paladin.
It's a board flood. You just play a card, you have a full board. Of course, you play it.
I think you still play it. Yeah.
You still think you play it? Okay, even with 1-drops involved, you still play it. Okay, all right. It's definitely getting closer. So clearly, it's the right direction, right? 5 or 6 kind of thing. So yeah, I hope that answers your question, Ahmed. Jason has a suggestion about just, I guess, what to do with basic packs for people getting started. So he's been playing on all 3 servers. I've been using the Europe and Asian accounts as my free-to-play accounts. So as you know, getting into the game, it's hard to get the cards you need. What do you think about the following ideas? So classic packs would have 10 cards in them when either won through a brawl or a quest. Okay, so the packs that you've been given to you would have 10 cards in them. And this would give you a chance to get more classic cards, obviously, while buying classic cards while buying still the new expansions when they first come out. It wouldn't be a huge amount of cards, but it'd be a subtle way basically to get you more classic cards. And then Wild Dust, his other idea is when you dust something, you should get double the dust. Standard Dust and Wild Dust. Standard Dust would be used to craft any cards, but Wild Dust can only be used to craft cards that are available in Wild. So the way you feel bad about making your Dr. Boom because the dust can only be spent in Wild anyways. Okay, so I think his general ideas have to do with just giving us more in terms of like the older stuff, right? And obviously the dust is just a way to allow us to build some of the newer stuff quicker. So I don't know. And what do you guys think? I mean, from an objective standpoint, obviously I think all of us think that it'd be great, just to help folks out, right? But do you think this is a good solution if you were Blizzard?
I think for new players, well, personally, when I try to get new players into the game, new friends into the game, they have a big issue with, I don't want to spend all my money on cards. I would like to see there be ways to earn more cards in-game, just in-game rewards. Like you can see like a tab of rewards. If I get 10 wins, I get a pack, 20 wins, I get 2 packs sort of thing. Or just more ways to just earn cards in-game just from playing rather than spending money. The game is supposed to be free to play, of course, as people like to joke about sometimes nowadays. But I would definitely like to see, I'm not sure, obviously, from Blizzard's standpoint, they're trying to make the most money that they can. Their current model, I imagine, is making them a lot of money and they think it's the best one. Otherwise, they would be changing it, right? So I don't expect anything to really change on this front unless Blizzard suddenly find a way to make more money out of us by making these more packs. But I definitely would like to see new players. Yeah, maybe 10 cards, maybe multiple packs, just earn them in game somehow.
Yeah, because we're talking about the basic and classic cards. Like those, not basic, but classic cards, right? We're trying to catch people up. I guess this is the idea for it versus like the new expansion. They're giving us plenty of cards with the new expansion. I mean, we got like, I don't know how many packs in total now, like 15, 20 or something. I don't even know, but they gave us a crap load of packs this expansion.
Yeah.
But still, the people are just getting started right now. They could get all those new cards, but then they're missing all the classic ones. So yeah, Gaara, like, what do you think in terms of this kind of issue and if this is a good idea?
They have been changing the quests up a lot as well, and I still think they, again, like I talked about it last week, I don't like this, which would defeat 10 bosses.
Yeah, forget that one. That one obviously was a bad idea.
The dust thing, I don't know, man. Maybe make cards cheaper, or like get more dust from disenchanting cards in general, not just when a card gets nerfed. I think that helps a lot. I think Cripple talked also about it. The ratio right now is really bad, right? You get 1/4 of the dust of a card. Mm-hmm. That's such a bad ratio, right? If you get So it really makes you feel like, oh my god, very unlucky, because most of the legendaries are also very bad that you get from any expansion in general.
But they fixed the whole legendary rate though. Like you don't get repeats anymore, right? Like
but you still want to disenchant most of these legendaries because you can't play them really in any deck. You want to get the good legendaries, and if you disenchant them, that really hurts you. First of all, you can get them back because of that, and because you disenchanted, but you only get 1/4 of the dust. So it feels so expensive. Like I have 4 accounts actually because I had to make a new NA account, and it's really expensive because my NA account is half free to play. I still spend a lot of money on it, but whenever a new expansion comes out, it really is expensive to craft all the meta decks. I always miss like half of the classes just because it's so ridiculous expensive. And then you notice, I mean, they really did it low key, but they really upped the epic cards, the epic good cards in the game.
Yeah.
It's like that's when really like we make, you know, you
it's
get
harder
more
to get the epics,
timer, but at the same time, all the good cards are epic now. It's really is more expensive. Like,
and you need 2 of the epics normally too. So that's why they catch. You know,
they say something like this card is core for all decks like Cold or Creeper. Epic every time.
I know, right? Yeah, there's if you looked at the list of all the epics, there are a lot of the good cards right now. Like in Cold Arm. Cold Arms is what is Cold Arms?
Epic.
Epic, right?
Epic.
Yeah, Cold Arms
I can't craft Paladin. I'm missing like half the cards.
Yeah, on Asia, I spent 100+ quid, and I only have Paladin and like maybe like Odd Rogue as well, and that's it. I sort of invested into Paladin thinking it's going to be good for ages. I just have Paladin. Yeah, that's all I have, and it's still like £100+ just for one good deck if you start from nothing.
Yeah, my youngest son is like recently started playing, and yeah, I've been kind of like watching to see how he does because I don't buy packs or anything, so he's like really experiencing the free to play. I mean, actually, that's not true. I don't buy them. Like we have this whole thing with just our company, just Asian Free to Play, where we obviously have to keep up with the game. So I've been kind of giving him some of those packs, but he's starting from scratch, and him, him experiencing it, it's tough because he'll come and watch me play, and then he'll kind of want to go and play like it on his, but it's impossible, right, for him to play the same decks on his. So it is a pretty difficult thing, and I think that just the classic ones, I don't think they're making a ton of money on the classic ones. I don't know. It's I feel like when people go to buy new packs, they I mean they're obviously going to want to ask the question of like which packs to buy once they know the game well enough, but the UI and everything is definitely tailored so you buy the new stuff, right? Like it's the first thing on the list.
The older cards should be cheaper to craft.
Yeah, I mean, like you can even make an argument that just the classic set could just be free, like you just at least some of it, could just be like kind of like the basic version, and just kind of try to monetize just the other packs and the other expansions. I mean, you still got 4 expansions for them to have to buy, so it's a tricky thing, but I think that in the end, we'll probably, I wouldn't be surprised if they eventually get to the point where just the older cards are, getting to the point where they're super cheap and free. But, we'll see. I don't know. Like with this whole resetting, we're always going to, have the same number of decks in standard. So unless Wild just became something huge, if Wild became huge, I think they would have to do it, right? Like, if that became,
I couldn't play Wild right now.
I mean, there's
especially not on multiple servers.
Yeah,
it would be so expensive.
Be crazy.
Yeah, but I've disenchanted most of my wild cards already on other servers.
Yeah, or you can just eliminate. So yeah, Torix said that a lot of people have been suggesting just eliminate the classic set, just get rid of basic and classic, and just run with the 4 expansions every year. I mean, or just have this kind of moving window that's just 4 expansions or whatever. That's an idea too. I think that'd be pretty good. All right. Well, yeah, we covered a lot, guys. BoarControl. Awesome, man. Like, yeah, it was a great time having you on here, man. Your insight was amazing.
Yeah, it's been great. I really enjoyed it, actually.
Yeah, man. And when's the next event for you? Like, what's next for you?
So DreamHack Tours is the next one. That starts on the 19th. That's 10 days from now. And then, yeah, there's events all the time. I'm going to try and go to as many tour slots as I can. So there's like Austin as well. The full DreamHack circuit starts now. Yeah. So, yeah, events all the time. It's going to be great.
Yeah, the DreamHacks are a lot of fun, too. Gar, how about you? Are you going to go to any of these DreamHacks?
Yes, I'm finally also going to some tournaments. I'm going to DreamHack Tours as well, to DreamHack Italy.
Nice.
I heard some rumors. Seed Story Cup coming up relatively soon as well.
There's points at Seed Story?
No, but
I was going to say, man, cool really? The memes give points too? Oh my god.
No, but it's an event.
Yeah, it's
very cool event.
Yeah, of course it is.
Can't wait for that, and just seeing how other people do. Like, we have APEC right after this weekend as well. I think it's at the same time, which is a bit questionable. It's at the same time as DreamHack Tours. I heard.
Yeah, I think so.
So. Usually you had problems with Blizzard, overlapping events, but I guess it's fine now.
Yeah, I guess.
Like you remember last year, you couldn't. No event gave points if it was 2 months before or after a preliminary. It was actually crazy.
Yeah. So DreamHack Tours, where is that? Like,
in Tours.
They're tours.
Oh,
in
it's
France.
tours in
place.
France.
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking like the
It's
tour. I was like, oh my god. Okay.
Yeah,
When I saw it, I was like,
confused as well,
DreamHack Tours. Like, is this like another mini little circuit?
It's actually
thing?
quite difficult to get there.
Oh, really?
Like you have to go by train. Like you go to Paris and then you have to take like a 2-hour train.
Oh, I see. Okay.
That's like the fastest way to get there. But...
Yeah. Now this would be good. The DreamHack events are always the fun ones, just with the Grand Prix and just the field's always really, really difficult.
And now it's summer, nice time.
Yeah, definitely a good time out there. All right, well, BoarControl, thanks for joining us today. And any kind of shout outs you want to do before we take off?
Yeah, so just shout out to my team, Fate to Karma. And then, follow me on Twitter, at BoarControl, Twitch, BoarControl HS. I'll be streaming daily whenever I'm not at events. So, come by, check it out.
Awesome. Gaara, how about you, man?
As always, shout out to my Twitter, shout outs to my stream. I stream every single day, twitch.tv/GaaraBashaman, as people should know by now. And shout outs to all the lovely viewers and to BoarControl for being on the show. It was super awesome.
Yeah, definitely need to have you on again sometime, dude. Definitely be fun. And I'll round things out. Thanking both of you guys for doing the show. Everybody for watching. Thanks Mitsu for hosting earlier. And just we actually got a few subs today during the show, which never happens. So thanks to all those folks that sub today during the stream. Really means a lot. And you can find the show on YouTube, of course, youtube.com/ChanManV and youtube.com/HSReplayNet. We're trying to get some folks over there now, just as we're kind of transitioning over there. You can also find the audios on iTunes as well as Google Play and soundcloud.com/ChanManV. So if you want to listen to it on the way to work, which a lot of people do, definitely look for us there. You can just search for Hearthstone Value Town. If you enjoy the show, leave a comment. It really helps in terms of people trying to find it if they are looking for a Hearthstone podcast too. But that's going to be it, guys, for this week. So for BoarControl, Gaara, and ChanManV, myself. Why do I call myself ChanManV? That's like the first time I've ever done that. It's weird. We'll see you next week, guys. Later.
Champions of the night. We are the champions of the night.